Hey everyone, and welcome to the ComaCast Live. We are back here again for another week. Hey Matt, how are you?
I'm good. So we're up and running today, and
We
uh,
are.
I woke up from a nap. Right, I was playing a game earlier, and I was like, David, I think I need to lay down because I'm pretty sure we are going to do a live today, and I want to be awake for it. And then I slept right through your text message.
I was we let Gabe out of quarantine today, and I was like, "Oh, I texted Matt, we're going to do like a live today." And then like 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by. I'm like, "Something's up. This is weird. Normally he texts back right away." And I'm like, "It's like 2 o'clock there." I was like, well, he must be asleep. He must be asleep.
Yeah, I did sleep last night, so I'm starting to get back on more of a normal schedule. So normal for me is waking up between 7:30 and 9, and I need to sleep at least, like, I can take a 20-30 minute power nap and be okay. Like, I don't
Yeah.
need to sleep an hour or two. I just need a quick power nap, and that seems to be fine. It was 2 hours, and we've got it down to about 20-30 minutes. So I'm hoping that in the next month or two, uh, I can sleep longer and not need to sleep at all during the day. But the, I feel so much better with a power nap.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
Starbucks might be on the way.
ooh, that's exciting. Isn't it funny? Like when we were like little kids, you would like have to lay down like for nap and you would not want to do it at all. I was that
Um,
kind of kid. I wouldn't want to take the nap.
I
But
wouldn't
now I'd be
sleep
like,
at night as a
okay,
kid. Just
you
wouldn't do
didn't
it.
sleep.
No, I've been this way my entire life. My mom is this way. My grandfather, her dad that raised me, he was also this way before he passed away in 2008. Sleep was eh, it's just an issue in the family. That and vertigo.
That's right. You were telling me about that because I was having like some dizzy spells and you were telling me that you have to deal with that occasionally.
I do. I learned. I've gotten it a few times over my life, and I thought something was terribly wrong with me, like, neurologically, because some of
Yeah.
the issues in my family. And I learned. I happened to post about it when I still did have Facebook a few years ago, and one of my aunts messaged me and said, "Oh, by the way, vertigo is a thing in our family. Several people struggle with it, and nobody's really looked into it. They just deal with it." I'm like,
Hmm.
nobody bothered to tell me this. Like, thanks, guys. So I have what's called basically benign vertigo. So like the crystals in my inner ear, they kind of get loosened or moved or
Hmm.
shifted, and it will for a day, sometimes a week. And I have a med for it, but I also there's like physical therapy exercises you can do to help kind of reset them. And
Yeah.
I usually have to look it up every single time when it happens, but yeah, the first time it happened, it went on for a week, and when I would walk around, I would feel really sick. Sitting still or sitting down at kind of like a 45-degree angle, I felt fine. So I'm like, well, this is weird. And it didn't occur to me that it could be vertigo. I never had experienced it before and had it diagnosed because I did have spells like that in high school. And they had one happened when my family was on vacation. And when they got back, I told them about it and I was trying to describe it to them. And they basically told me I was making it up for attention. I was like, okay,
Of
okay,
course.
well, I guess it didn't happen. But turns out it was just vertigo. But this time, since I didn't know what it was, and when I would walk around, I get nauseated, so I didn't want to eat anything because I would feel really sick after I ate and then walked away from the dinner table. Um, Within a week, I was really dehydrated and I started feeling really bad. And then I went to the ER finally. I finally caved and went to the ER. David's like, "Get in the car. I'm taking you to the hospital." And they took my blood pressure, and well, they checked us in, and they didn't walk me back. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
this is not a big deal. I'm not worried. If you're not taken back immediately in the ER, you're fine. So they call my name, go to triage, and they take my blood pressure and triage me, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna go get a bed open right now for you. And David to leave, and I'm standing at this point, and David's like, "Oh, girl, hi," and I started laughing, and I guess I was holding my breath laughing because I snorted. And then I almost fainted.
Oh my
I,
goodness.
I almost fainted in the ER laughing at this comment David made. And we were there all night, and then they told us what was going on, and because they did a ton of blood work, x-rays, and scans to make sure something wasn't wrong with my
Mm.
heart. And yeah, so everything came back clean, and then they're like, oh yeah, so you have vertigo, and you probably had this is probably what's been wrong with you before. So yeah, and then I got a $17,000 bill. It would have been 17,000. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's the time I almost fainted in the ER because David couldn't resist a good comment. And it was really funny because I had literally just said, well, they're not taking me right back. So I'm fine. Like, there's no, we're going to deal with this and we're going to go home.
Mhm.
And she goes, oh, excuse me, sir. I'll be right back. I need to go take you back in a minute. And oh, girl, you're going to die. Like, but, oh, speaking of David, that episode released today.
It did. That's what I was gonna say. Dominic's like, when's
When
David
is
gonna
David
come
gonna
on?
come on? Hi, Dominique.
Hey everyone, we do have some listeners, and we just want to thank you for joining us again for this random live video chat. Normally, we're gonna start doing live episode recordings, but we already had a podcast that was released today, and it was the highly anticipated event
Yeah.
of the year. Our interview where we talked with David, and that went up at midnight. And so, and here's the thing, this is crazy, Matt. It posted at midnight. When I woke up like at 8:30, 9 o'clock, it already had like 20 views or listens.
Yeah. I
People
was
were
telling
like,
David.
he's going to be our ratings, the thing that we need for ratings.
Yeah. So David agreed to do the follow up. I said, we'll have him come back in a month or so, or unless there's something else that comes up he wants to talk about. But he did agree to do a live with us to answer questions and talk to us. And we listened to it last night. I just played it on speaker on my phone, and he goes, oh, so we're going to do it this way. And, because nobody likes to hear themselves talk. It's not easy. And it's just not. I mean, I'm sure some people aren't bothered, but
I mean, I've gotten used to it, and then I'll just like listen to myself.
yeah. I just try to roll with it and just deal, just put myself in. I put myself in like a work mode almost, like, okay, listen, evaluate, just like I would like when I would do QA when I was a call center rep and trainer, just stuff like that. But David's not listened to himself, let alone for an hour on a podcast. And
It's a long time to listen to yourself.
oh yeah, right. And I thought he sounded great, but obviously I don't feel like he shared that that sentiment.
Did he not?
He liked it, I think. But we'll find out when we invite him back and see how much of a diva he is. Like when he's in some
I
kind of
know,
like,
because he'll be on camera this time.
well, he'll be in like some fur carpeted room with like green M&Ms only in a bowl next to him and some Voss water to snack on.
I mean, you're the one who's going to have to get that all for him. That's in his rider.
Yeah. He's going to have this like ridiculous contract in dressing room. I can just see it. He's going to have 2 Pomeranians to dry his hands on,
Oh, that would be so cool, Dominique, if you can get it on your projector.
Right?
You'll have to
And
send
yes,
a
I
photo.
did need a nappy because Matt was tired.
If you get it to work, tag a photo so we can see it. That'd be
Yes,
fun.
and I found out another one of my friends. So how our very first live, we just kind of turned on the camera and we're like, okay, we kind of just did a live test of everything. He's like, I sat and listened to the whole hour and 46 minutes. I was like,
We did like so long one. Well, the other night for our late night one, well, there's only one person here right now. Dominique, thank you.
we love you. Thank you.
But for the late night episode, if you're listening to the replay of this, we did a super late night episode of the podcast, and we went on for like 2 hours, I think, and we just kept talking and talking and talking.
Yeah, it
And
was
then
late
before
night.
you know
So,
it,
well, that was the idea, was that so that we could let people just kind of filter in and filter out if they wanted to, because a lot of people are still home, a lot of people are still feeling everything, because the pandemic's not over, and it's a different way to kind of participate. And a few people have told me they like being able to see and kind of, even if they don't say anything, they just kind of like being there, and when they feel comfortable, they'll chirp, and let us
Mhm.
know. And one friend told me that he will at some point try to get brave and speak with us, and I would like, yes, do it, but whatever you're comfortable with.
Yes, that's so
Oh,
true.
so Dominique works overnights, so he was at work listening to us and got caught in a management call.
Oh, well, it ended up being fun. Like, I can't believe we went that long though, because it was late where you were. It was late in Texas.
Yeah, and he is, I want to say, are you central, Dominic? Are you central time or Eastern time?
Well, you probably
Let's
can't
see.
hear it on the mic, but we currently have the ice cream truck making its daily rounds in the neighborhood.
Ours is so creepy, like when it goes around at like 9 o'clock at night, or well,
It is
even 8 o'clock, but it's like dark
it's
really
so
early.
weird. It is so weird that you have an ice cream truck going around at midnight.
Sir, you are from Texas. You know exactly what this ice cream truck looks like. It does not look like something friendly and that you want to let your kids go get ice cream from. It
I mean, I
like
feel like that's all ice cream trucks though, right?
this one looks like it's from
He's with
oh
you.
gosh.
Central Time.
Okay, yeah, so he works Arizona time though.
Oh.
So he's probably closer to you. So it was late at my house.
But doesn't Arizona, they don't do like daylight savings. So that I get confused.
I thought part of Arizona did, and I know Hawaii does not, because
It's all confusing.
Kai is Hawaiian and lives out there, and uh twice a year, of course, it goes from hey good morning, but it's kind of afternoon, to hey good morning and it's turning noon. It's an adult ride. It almost got really adult really quick. I sent Cody a picture of my cat Ava right before I was trying to get up. She crawled on me and just plopped down on me. So I sent Cody a picture, and when he for some reason it popped up like on the overlay from when I texted it to his phone. So for like 10 minutes it was in my face, and there was just this picture of shirtless me and my cat laying on me. And Cody's like, "You still see it?" I
Well,
do. I'm
because I
looking.
didn't see it. So like I was testing it because I was seeing if we could overlay photos. Like if we show a photo, it's an easier way of pulling up a photo. So I was testing that out. And then I took it down and it wasn't on my screen
And it
anymore.
was not down.
And he was saying he could still see it. And
Right.
I don't know. We'll have
Let's
to
see.
test it again with a not as scandalous photo. I mean, I feel like we
I
should
mean,
save that.
it was G rated, but still at the same time, it was
Well, I
like,
feel like
oops,
we could
sorry, bud.
sell that photo.
You can sell that photo, boys. I think it's gays and their cats, you know?
I mean, it's at least a $5 photo.
Aw, thank you. I'm going to post a link to YouTube. Um, Let me just copy the link. I'm going to go ahead and just post it to,
Again, as always, if you're listening to this replay later, you can go to the ComaCast, just search it on YouTube, and you can click the little bell and get notifications. And that just means every time we go live, you'll just get a little notification on your phone, and you can choose to watch us, or you can just ignore the notification. But it's a little bit higher quality
Ava.
stream than Periscope. And again, Periscope is going to be going away. And so I know a lot of you see it initially from Periscope, but YouTube, the link, it's on the Twitter pages and everything. So be sure and check that out because, and that's also sometimes we might do video talks and episode recordings that aren't live. And so going forward now, every episode that we do will have a companion video of the recording, whether it is a live recording or a pre recorded thing. It'll just kind of depend on the day and on the topic, but there'll always be a companion video now to each episode of our podcast. So that's exciting.
Okay, so I posted the YouTube link, and in the middle of this, my cat has decided to reopen the door completely, and it's out of
She's
reach.
she's like,
She's
I want in.
yeah, she doesn't. I don't even know what she's doing. She's not around me. I think she opened it and completely walked out again.
We need like another cam just for her, and it
My
just like
Ava
watches
cam.
her. Your Ava cam.
Well, she's one, so she's a little more active. Ava or Luna doesn't care. She's 3.5 now, so she just wanders the house. I don't even know where she's at. She'll just show up. She like, kind of chirps at us now
Mm-hmm.
when she wants something or is feeling some sense of distress. So, and yeah, I have not used my iPad for anything but playing solitaire and watching movies. I take a bath and I'll put the iPad like out of reach and just set something to play on loops so I don't have to get out and go get it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll just sit in the bathtub. But because of the Stratera, my concentration's so much better. I got caught up watching Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, like the extended edition. And I sat and watched the entire movie in the bathtub one night. Like,
I mean,
wow.
you
It's
were
like
telling
4
me I need to
hours.
watch that because I haven't watched any of the
I
any
can't
of the Lord of the Rings movies.
I cannot believe that. Like
Um, I was gonna say we do need a mic
for
for
Ava.
all of our cats. Have you? Well, I don't know. Again,
Ava's
I'm
pretty
obsessed
quiet.
with
Mine are
TikTok.
pretty quiet usually, but when they do get sassy, it's mostly at 2 a.m.
On TikTok, they have all these videos, and someone's gotten this teeny tiny mic, like this small, and they hold it up to their cats, and it's so adorable because you just hear them purring, and then sometimes they'll like meow and talk, and it's so cute.
Yeah, mine aren't talkers usually. When they are, they're relentless until we assist with whatever it is. But I think Ava's kind of still learning how to use her voice a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. So she runs around purring and chirping. And Luna just kind of will go sit in the middle of a room and I'm going to go completely southern, but she'll just go sit and holler. It's literally, I don't know how else to explain it. Just, yes, I
Well,
love bath salts. Yes, like we have the, David really likes to take the Epsom salts and pour them in. I forget that we have them. I'm notorious for forgetting stuff like that. So I am looking forward to this Starbucks arriving. I have to tell you.
what are you getting? The same thing as always.
Well, my favorite thing is the caramel macchiato. However, the espresso machine is routinely down at the local Starbucks for us. And
Yep, always. Every time Matt texts me, it's always down.
I saw that.
Yeah, TikTok is just so funny. I'm obsessed with TikTok,
Yeah,
basically.
something is apparently wrong. The staff has actually told us, has talked to guests about it, that something's wrong with the water lines at Target, and I guess the water, how the water lines and Target are connected to the system, to the grid or
Mm.
whatever, and that they keep blowing, so it keeps damaging things, and the espresso machine just seems to take the brunt of all of it, so it keeps ruining it. So I know since I've been here, this is like their second or third one or something like that. So when I worked in
So
a restaurant,
crazy.
our espresso machine was $30,000 in my restaurant at Disney. That thing was a piece of crap. And they were obsessed with us trying to upsell people. And I just refused to do it. I'm like, if somebody asked me for something from the cappuccino machine or the espresso machine, and they just want a pump of hazelnut or vanilla or whatever the hell they want in it, I'm giving it to them. It is Disney. They paid hundreds of dollars to walk in here, let alone how much their meal costs in a full service restaurant where I worked. They can have the pump of vanilla and a little bit of whipped cream. Okay. You're
Mm-hmm.
fine. Your quadrillion-dollar profit line is going to be okay.
Yeah, Matt gets his Starbucks from Target.
Yeah, because it's the closest, and they're really nice, and it's probably about as close as social interaction as uh, anybody gets, I think, because you know, yeah, we have the coffee maker, and sometimes I just don't feel like dealing with it anymore. Like, I just like, can we just go somewhere? Of course, currently it's being made, but normally we'll just make it. We have an espresso machine, but I haven't gotten too good at it yet. So I've not mastered the art of the coffee bar. So
I love our Nespresso.
yeah, I'm not like, the sexy barista has not made his appearance yet,
I still, well, we have the Nespresso, but Justin really wants to get um, he wants to get an actual like espresso machine and everything, grinds the beans and the whole
Oh, like a
thing,
real
froths the
one.
milk. Yeah, a whole like a real
We
one.
have like the $40 one from Target that, will froth the milk and, mixes fine. And we've used
Yeah,
it and it's great. It just, you kind of have to be in the mood for it. And sometimes it's like, even with both of us being off right now, it's kind of a grab and go thing.
yeah,
So sometimes, and also driving in San Antonio is really dangerous sometimes. And you're just like, I don't want to get out on those roads. People, as nice as Texans are, all that aggression is focused on the road. Oh, and voting against gays. But they mostly just the roads are terrifying. I drove for probably 10 plus years with one accident total, and that was at a stop sign. And since we've been in Texas since 2016, we've had two hit and runs, one in David's car, one in my
yeah.
car. We've had three windshields. We're on our second or third windshield in the Escape. The Escape is a 2019.
They are not
Um,
lucky. They have not
the
been lucky.
my car is the Beamer. So David was driving 2 blocks away. He was coming off an exit, and there was construction, and all the construction like debris was on the road. And when he went through it on the coming off the exit, uh, rock came up and broke the windshield. 2 weeks later, in my car, same thing, broke my windshield. He broke his, then mine on the same exit, 2 weeks apart. And then so they patched mine, we replaced his, and then we were on the frontage road, which a block away from our house, going by a college. And I even tried to move out of a way of a flatbed truck, and the flatbed truck hit a pothole that I actually moved out of to avoid. But the flatbed hit and threw some rocks off of itself and smashed the windshield, like broke again.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, we are on the third windshield on the Escape. And this is after 10 plus years of, I'd had one accident and one windshield replaced from the time I was from 2004 to
Yeah.
2016. One accident, one windshield. That's it. And then here, I mean, the hit and run in Austin, I just had a molar pulled because I had broke a tooth years ago. I'd had that replaced
Mhm.
or fixed, but the one above it started moving out. So when they pulled it, we're on the way home. We were only 3 miles from our apartment. The dentist office in my house, our apartment, was only 3 miles away. And in between that was a State Farm insurance claims office that I worked at. We're almost in front of that turn of where I would go to work, and we get rear-ended by a guy in traffic. And I saw it coming. I was like, oh, we're about to get hit. David's like, what? Boom.
Oh my god.
you know, I just, yeah,
Y'all
whatever.
have y'all have so many like you just have not good luck with cars.
Yeah, and no, it's Texas, because this did not happen up north or in Florida. And I learned to drive in Florida, of all places. And I think I've had maybe 2 speeding tickets my entire life. I just
Mhm.
maybe a third, maybe three. I just don't drive like a psychopath. And then once I became a claims adjuster, I became much more aware of my driving. And
Mhm.
none of this stuff was our fault that's happened. It's just really frustrating and time consuming. Our Escape still isn't fixed from being hit in November. We got hit the night before Thanksgiving. Our Yeah, we picked up that's why we were out. We were at Walgreens picking up meds, and we went at 11. And I parked far away to avoid some people
This
sitting like that were just like kind of they looked like they were just having issues parking their cars. So I parked farther away. And we even went at 11 to avoid traffic and craziness. I mean, I consciously made that decision when we parked.
I
And
know.
then
I remember you telling me that, and I was
yeah.
like, "Oh my
Wow.
gosh."
Yay meds, right? And I'm super calm. I mean, I know how the process works, but it's still so they backed into us and then took off. And they luckily so the shop didn't have all the parts they needed, but they were able to put back the
Mhm,
car. It wasn't even heavy damage. It's just that they hit by driver's side quarter panel, which is the back panel, back left panel of
mhm,
the car, and it shoved it out of the way, so it kind of moved our tail light and blocked the tailgate from safely opening and closing.
mm,
So they were able to put it back together, and it was just shifted out of place. So that was an easy fix. But like the lower lip of the bumper cover that runs around the back of the truck or back of the Escape, they put a hole, they packed and put a hole through it. Like they kind of crushed it. Well,
yeah,
that part has been on national back order, so that the part is just not available anywhere. And that was December when they told us that. They said it'd be 3 weeks. So we're in the middle of February now.
mhm.
Yeah, awesome. Yay. Still not fixed. So
We
great.
wanna, just thank everybody who is joining us now. We have several people that are online with us. If you are, say hi. If you have any questions, this is kinda
Yeah,
just a
don't
little
hesitate.
chat.
We were just kind of
We
chatting
had
while this was getting going.
we had, we aren't recording an episode necessarily today. This is kind of just a chat with you because today we had the episode. If you haven't listened to it, it's where we talked to David about him and Matt, and it's really exciting. So be sure and check that out if you haven't.
Yes. If you didn't already hear, I already had David listen to it last night, so that was his first time. I think hearing himself talk that much in one session.
I thought it turned
Let's
out
see
pretty
here.
good.
Yeah. I mean, I know he was nervous, but the sound was great. Everything worked. That's like the biggest thing. Everything worked. I think that's every time we do either a recording or a live, it's always please everything just work.
Well, we're this one is a little bit. We had a little bit of issues early on, to this afternoon getting set up for this live, because I'm using a different computer, and using Justin's computer, and it is basically almost brand new. I think like a year old. But if you've noticed in some of our earlier streams, Matt looked crystal clear and perfect, and you could see everything. And mine was like a complete blurry mess. And it was strictly the computer. It wasn't anything to do with the internet because my internet
Some
is like super
1997
fast.
realness, you know.
But yeah, this computer is making sure my video stays pretty clear. I
Do
think,
you know what I
hopefully.
watched the other night? Speaking of our live streams, I went back and watched the one we recorded like 9 months ago.
Hmm.
Um, and the audio and video is people are. I was left wanting by the time I was done with it. Uh, yeah, it was rough. The lighting. I have since bought a ring light. I've upgraded my computer because my old one was dying. It's still here. Just it's needs some love. And
Um,
your video, it was the same thing for you. It was like your audio was really good, but your video was dicey.
yeah, it was well, we're using a different system now to put out our videos, and so it's a little bit quicker and speedier, and it makes it quick and easy for everyone too. So, like, if you're listening and watching right now and you want to join us, we can bring you in real quick. We just send you a little link, and then you'll pop up in a little video with us. Or if you just want to be audio, you can do that. So if you're listening and you want to join us, just let us know, and we can send you the link, and get that done. But yeah, it allows anyone to join us, and it's a lot easier for everything to work smoothly. And you can
Yes,
do it
we
from your
had
phone. You can do it from your
yeah, and
phone.
having because when we had guests on in season one, our friend Johnny Apollo and our other friend Eric joined us. It was a bit challenging because we just weren't sure how we were going to do it because all three of us are in different time zones, different states, different equipment, and we got through it. I
Hmm.
think that's about, yeah, we got through the audio part, and
I remember when we did the interview, one of our first interviews that we did with somebody else. So it was three people, three different locations, and uh, it wasn't any video by any means, because if it would have been that, it would have been even worse. We were literally just trying to record audio, and
it
nothing
was a
was working
nightmare.
because we were going to try to do it on our system Anchor that we use for the podcast distribution, and that was not working. They could not hear me. I could hear them, but it's not going to work if like I'm not. It just was not going to connect.
I think what we ultimately did was because they could hear me, um, and so I essentially interviewed and asked. We kind of left it very light questioning, so as to not overwhelm the time and system, because we didn't know when it would stop working, because we were really
Mm-hmm.
worried. So because it would cut in and out, so we just kind of, when it started working between two of us, we just ran with it. And I sent the audio to Cody, and just whatever he picked up of, because I think you could hear me,
It was a
and it
mess.
was a it was a painful disaster, and I felt really bad. I'm sorry, everyone.
um, yeah, but we made it. We made it, and look at here we are. We're doing video now. It goes smoothly. Again, if you're listening, we want someone to join us. We've done several of these now. We want somebody to join us. So, like, if you if you want to join us, let us know. Um,
Well, also, did Justin agreed apparently to do an interview in the way that David did. Um, do you think he'd agree to just go ahead and do it live? Because I can tell you the amount of text messages I got to say like, yeah,
I
so it's
don't
not
know about
live.
that. I don't know about that. We'll have to see.
Well, we'll have to do that one soon, and maybe we can, give it a few weeks. And
Did you know, Matt, today is National Pizza Day?
no, but I did know it's National Impeachment Day.
It is. I think we had six Republicans who've gone along with letting the trial go forward. But yeah,
Right.
get some
Like,
pizza and watch the impeachment.
I don't know if that, I feel like that would cause me so much heartburn. And I realize how 34 I sound right now when I say that, but oh my God. Like,
I need to let's see if I can find it. I'll tell you the pizza that I got the other day. I got it, and it's so good. It's like one of my favorite pizzas to get, and because it's just like full of like a lot. It's a lot of just meats. It's called carne, and it has house-made giant meatballs, pepperoni, spicy sausage, bacon, bell peppers, red onions, organic tomato sauce, and mozzarella.
I mean, that sounds delicious, but is that even like um, is that even a pizza anymore? Or is it just like a, a plate of meat?
Either one, I'm fine with it. Okay, here's the thing. Um, uh, do you consider a Chicago pizza a pizza?
I, is there a
Chicago deep
reason
dish.
is it, is there a reason it wouldn't be?
Well, wouldn't it be almost kind of like a casserole? Because it's like pretty deep and there's a ton of
Bro, I don't
sauce
know if this is a debate we're
and a
safe to
ton
have.
of cheese.
We can debate a lot of controversial things here, I think safely, but questioning Chicago pizza, sir, I know I'm in South Texas, but some Chicago's are scary. I
I
would say,
mean,
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, pizza's
You,
pizza, right? Or am I being ignorant here?
well, I mean, like, do you consider pizza, just like a flatbread with stuff on it, which is most pizza? Because Chicago pizza is you have the crust and then you just like pour on lots of sauce
I
and
always
lots
think
of
of it as,
cheese. So it's
I
like two
always thought,
inches thick.
yeah, I hear a lot of attitude out of you, and I'm not like your tone.
But doesn't it make you think, like, is it actually, I mean, we call it a pizza, yeah,
I
but
would
is it
say
actually
it's,
a pizza? Or is it a casserole? Well, Matt is currently frozen. Um, hopefully he will come back. I guess
say it's pizza.
he got so upset at me that he has decided to just be like, I'm out. Bye. Matt, can you hear me now? He's coming back. He's coming back. Oh, there
Can
he
you?
is.
Yeah, I could hear
Yeah, I
you
can hear
fine.
you now.
I would say absolutely it's pizza, and I don't know. I mean, I just hear a lot of attitude out of you right now, and but
Okay, is a hot dog a sandwich?
no, it's a filthy pile of lies in a bun. Ugh, I don't like hot dogs.
What?
I don't
Oh
like
my
hot dogs. I think
god.
they're gross.
So as
You,
we found
Cody, you eat like so
hot dogs?
organic,
I
and then you're
love
like,
hot
I like
dogs.
hot dogs. I'm like, God, you sick.
I love hot dogs. I'm gonna make some homemade hot dog buns, and I have this hot dog
Do you dip
tray.
that in ranch?
I've not done that, but that actually sounds good. So I will report back. But I'm gonna make homemade hot dog buns, and then I just got some hot dogs and beef. I only do beef hot dogs, beef. I don't want the mix of meats. But I'm excited, and I'll have to try it with ranch. You just got me thinking, like that could be good. Usually I do mustard.
I like mustard. I just don't like ranch.
Okay, so we found Matt doesn't like ranch. He doesn't like spaghetti. He doesn't like hot dogs. We're just gonna have to
Pasta,
have
I
like a
just
running
don't like
list.
spaghetti. Oh man, and I
Do you?
feel just
Okay,
like
well,
a
what
lot of
if
hate
you
here.
like you don't? So you don't like spaghetti because the noodles, right?
This is not in flavor, and it's just such a pain in the ass. But like, I love and bow tie, and all those.
Like, would you be able to eat? I guess what we call spaghetti, but instead of spaghetti noodles, if we did like fettuccine noodles, a little bit thicker noodle, but same sauce and
I
meat
just
and
don't really like,
everything.
and just I literally just get tired of chewing on them. Making much, I literally just get tired of like eating that much pasta in one sitting. It's just not going to happen. I can't do it. I also have an issue with eating that much. Uh, well, I had to eat so I was diagnosed as a celiac patient many years ago, but I don't
Mm,
really have to follow the diet because the doctor refused to do the biopsy. And I was like, I think we should confirm that before we make life altering changes. But I did eat
right?
um a proper diet that a celiac patient would eat for 5 years because that is officially my diagnosis. So for 5 years, that's what I ate like. And when I started being able to eat other things again, I was not really able to eat pasta the way I was prior to that.
Hmm.
Because and when I do,
Yeah.
if I eat too much pasta, I get really, really sick, like painfully sick. And not in the way you think. It's like my joints hurt.
Mm.
Um, my stomach, I get stomach cramps, and my elbows and my ankles and my knees will hurt, and my wrists. It's really weird. I think it's like because of intolerance. So it seems like too
Mm.
much.
Mhm.
It's just not going to happen. So like, I mean, I eat bread and stuff, but you know, not often.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Well,
one of the reasons I don't like it
I mean
because
that's a good
I can
reason.
literally feel my body saying stop. You know. So even when I eat regular pasta, as much as I like it, I can eat like a normal bowl of it. Like I can eat like a what you would put in a bowl that would fill up a bowl,
Hmm.
and that's it. Like I have to stop right there because it can make me break out. It makes my mouth break out. It's really uncomfortable. But I learned a lot of people actually struggle with that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to eat something that's going to make you feel bad or make you feel gross.
Right. That's like ranch in some stuff, like the flavorings of ranch does not bother me, but actual ranch dressing won't. I don't actually like ranch dressing. I have tried it in my adult life. I even took the lactate.
And you don't like it. Well, Matt is having difficulties today. The internet does not love Matt today. Um,
See,
this is like we're doing like a live interview, and you have this special guest start breaking down, and you can't hear what they're saying, and they're cutting in and out, and it's like,
am I
wait,
back
what?
yet?
You're back, and they're like,
It's
they
just
were
like
about to
pissing
say
me off.
something really important.
I don't know what's going on. Like we downloaded 2 copies of Final Fantasy 14 the other night while we were doing this, and it's still you and I were fine. But
I
today
know,
it's like,
right? Like
but
normally
there's
you're like
nothing going on
crystal
in the house.
clear, and I'm
Nothing.
the one who's like, basically we've swapped roles.
Oh my gosh, it's so annoying. But yeah, I don't really have ranch has been one of those my whole life. I've never liked it. Oh, I don't like bologna either.
Okay, but so I don't know if it stayed into the episode, but we were talking about with David about bologna, and yeah, I'll agree with you on that one. I also don't care for spaghetti.
Cody doesn't like sushi.
Ew, gross. No, no fish.
See,
Oh my god, I'm gonna break everything. I don't like any kind of fish things. Like I will not eat. Like I'll eat like salmon croquette, but basically, that's a lot of there's a lot of bread and stuff to make that. I'll eat that, and that's about it. When I was young, I would eat like tuna, but like tuna out of a can, not like fresh tuna. And but yeah, I won't eat anything fishy. Ugh, I can't. It just grosses me out, and it smells bad. Like I hate the smell of seafood.
I like seafood.
Like,
Now I will say that, like, when I was at work and everything, that is one thing I will not take to the office because seafood, it does have an odor that if you don't deal with it the night you make it, you're gonna have problems. But I love seafood, shellfish, sushi.
well,
Now
when you
I
get out
learned.
here,
So I learned that I liked sushi because when I had to eat the celiac diet, because I was so freaking sick. It's one of the reasons I was 100 pounds and 5'10". But I started, instead of replacing things with gluten free, because if you've ever had to eat gluten free, like I had to for 5 years, it sucks. Gluten free shit tastes like shit. It smells like crap and it tastes just as bad. And so I decided, instead of trying to replace everything, why not just try new things? So it was a good opportunity to make myself try stuff. So I started with sushi that was like basically nothing in it but like vegetables and things that I like.
mhm.
And then I started trying, because there's some I like fish, but there's some sushis I found that I did not like. But most of the ones I like uh I would say are pretty tame, but I try to make myself try new ones and try to be adventurous
Mhm.
because why not? I mean, it's not like I'm gonna die if I eat it,
Yeah.
and I won't die if I don't like it, and that's okay. As I want fish sticks. I like fish sticks. My mom is obsessed with fish sticks. Now that I
I
think
used
about it,
to
that was
eat fish
something.
sticks also. Like, and I put like lemon juice on them.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never even
Uh,
thought of that.
um, I have an interesting pairing for you in a second, but I will tell you. So gluten free. We try to do some gluten free stuff sometimes because Gabe has gluten allergy a little bit, and we have found that Barilla, the pasta maker, makes gluten free pasta, and it is delicious. It's better than regular pasta.
We use
Um,
the edamame pasta. It's really good. We found that we really like that. There was another one that we tried, and I can't remember. I can't if I. I'll text David and ask what it's called because when he made it, it was amazing.
so yeah, I love that pasta, but I love making homemade pasta, but that has a lot of gluten in it.
Yeah,
So
David Hall makes
interesting.
our ravioli sometimes, and that's amazing.
Well, he better make it when I come.
Are you actually coming?
Who knows when? Who knows when? If I'll ever get back to Texas. Um, so the interesting pairing: ice cream with olive oil. It's good. It's really good.
Do you like drip the olive
You
oil
just
on the
like
ice
drizzle
cream?
olive oil on top of your ice cream and then go for it. It's like super good. Then just
Is
regular
this kind of
olive
like a
oil
French
too.
Frosties thing, and it's just good, and we don't really question it?
Yeah, probably. Probably.
Have you had French fries and Frosties?
I've not.
I had to be convinced to try
Justin
that.
likes it.
So I had to be convinced by a family friend of my mom's back in like middle school about it because I was having none of it because to me that was just a mortal sin. And but she got me to try it and I was like, okay, I will admit that hot fresh fries and a frosty are weirdly really good, but I have only had it a few times in my entire life because every time I think about it, I'm like, oh, what a good idea. Then I get there and I'm like, no, I'll just have the frosty things.
So we, I think this was like in January or February of last year. We went to not Dairy Queen. We went to Wendy's, and they were giving away keychains. You had to buy them, and I forgot, it was like $5 or something like that. And you bought like this little keychain, a frosty keychain, and basically anytime you went to Wendy's, if you bought anything, you could show this keychain and get a free frosty. So basically, you would go to Wendy's to get fries, and then you would get a frosty. Well, you know what happened next then. The pandemic, and we weren't going out. So that was a waste. Like so many things that I had purchased or done and didn't get to do them or use them. But here we are a year later, and things are a little bit brighter.
Well, yeah, they're going to be better. I mean, no matter what, they're going to be better. But it's yeah, there's a bunch of things we didn't. I canceled like every single trip last year because I just wasn't going to take the risk.
Mm-hmm.
But gosh, I'm stuck on the Frosties thing. Like we got a like I said, we got a blizzard the other night, and I just obliterated it. And usually I drive. The other night, I think it was a week or two ago, David was like, "Do you want to go get to Dairy Queen?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "How? What if I drive so that you can eat it on the way home?" And I was like, "Yes."
That's so sweet.
Because he gets a
and
milkshake,
Texas
so he
toast.
can kind of, he's fine. But
Yeah.
I know he doesn't really like to drive, so it's, I understand, and I don't mind driving. I
Yeah.
usually like it, but
Spaghetti and Texas toast is good. I love
I
Texas
like
toast.
Texas toast.
So, the
Jinx.
latest thing that we have found is that whenever we're wanting any kind of like garlic toast, so I eat bread and rolls and all of that with a lot of things, so I like do garlic toast. So get a piece of bread, put some butter on it, or whatever. But I found, now this works with everything. So butter your bread, brown it up, toast it up in a skillet, and then sprinkle some garlic salt on it, and then you're good to go.
That
So you don't
sounds
even have to make
delicious.
garlic butter, because that can be kind of a pain. This is easy. Butter the bread, skillet, garlic salt on top. But I have found that English muffins are really good doing this, because they have all the little nook and crannies, and it gets the butter in them, and then some of that garlic salt. It's so good. But I also tried
That sounds really
bagels
good.
doing it, and bagels are delicious.
You guys make
So
donuts sometimes, don't you? If I remember right.
yeah, we do make donuts. It's been a while. I
Yeah.
mean, I love donuts. So if you don't know, I'm
So
obsessed
David
with
doesn't like
donuts.
donuts. I forgot that. Oh, this was such a good comeback. Damn. So I like donuts when they're
Oh
hot and
my
fresh,
god.
and our Krispy Kreme is, I swear, so depressingly frustrating. But David
Oh
doesn't
my
really like donuts
god.
that much. And I'm
I
like,
can't. Mm-mm.
do you like kolaches?
Kolaches? Yep.
David doesn't really like them that much. He doesn't like
They're
the.
good, but like I'm
I
not
think
like
he said the
obsessed with
bread is
them.
too dry for him. Like,
Yeah, you have to get the right ones, because they can dry out really quickly.
yeah, I've had some that were pretty rough.
You have to honestly, we make them sometimes.
Thank you.
I cannot believe he doesn't like donuts.
It's okay. He's forgiven.
No, he's not.
No, I don't.
um
I don't know what you're talking about.
okay,
I've
so yeah,
changed him.
I love donuts, and I'm obsessed with them. And so, like, a few weeks back, I got like a dozen donuts from Krispy Kreme. Basically, ate all of them. They were good. And then the next weekend, Justin went and got some donuts from this really like delicious donut shop that makes huge donuts. And I woke up to a whole dozen of these donuts. Oh, so good. So I ate those for the whole week. Basically, I'll eat a dozen donuts anytime really quickly. I love them. So yeah, we do make donuts, and we need to make more because they were really good. But I do like that. And yeah, homemade ice cream. Yeah, it's really good. I make homemade ice cream as well. We try to make everything homemade if we can. And the great thing about it is, I can eat it because we use the milk that is lactate free.
Same here.
And then we use our fresh farmed eggs from my little chickies. Um, and so it's really good. I really like it. I need to make some more though. I've only made vanilla. I want to make some different kinds. We have like an old like Reese's chocolate cake that I made, but that we didn't eat at all because it was a lot, and we put it in the freezer. So we're gonna crumble some of that up and throw into an ice cream mix one day. But yeah, I haven't made ice cream in a while, but I need to. I want to do mint ice cream
You're
as
so much
well.
more creative than I am. Sometimes I'll make stuff. I'm hoping to make apple turnovers, like homemade apple turnovers today or tomorrow. Um, but I went to make them the other day, and one of the apples was a little
It's not good.
fuzzy, and I was like, "Oops."
Mm.
um, we
Yeah, it's
just
not good.
it just happens. So we decided maybe those weren't going to work out. I hate when that happens. Um,
I love
but
apple pie too. We're
do
just
I
talking about
so I
food.
like apple pie, but it's not really one of my favorites. But I love apple turnovers, apple muffins. We home make our own applesauce, and then David uses that to make the like use it in place of the water.
Mm.
And then you make applesauce muffins, and they are so good. They're so good. You can literally tear them in half, and they will not crumble. They are
Wow,
moist.
you like moist things.
Did
Oh my god,
I
thank
didn't know.
you.
Did it
I love. Thank you. I'm glad you like my curtains. I want to get
I
new
didn't know when I
ones.
whispered into it if it like whispered into your ear or how it sounds to you.
We heard it all. We heard it
And
all.
yet Cody's curtains are cute. Like his decorating style and like the way he dresses, he's so cute. It's ridiculous. I think he's adorable.
And then I love my colored lights. I could turn them up a little brighter. It's
I always
hard
love
when.
when it's a season change because you'll text me pictures of, how a room got redone or
Oh, I know. I haven't texted you my Valentine's looks. Um,
see, it's just cute shit, man. Cute
I
shit.
want to get new ones, same style, but I want to get ones that are like a taupe color or gray to it because it'll fit the seasons better. So like Christmas is lots of reds, and it goes, it's fine. But I like something more neutral. And then for the spring and fall, or like summer and fall, we have the golden curtains for, and winter and spring we'd have the cooler curtains. This is what my brain does. I just think of all these, like I need to have all these things match my seasons. And it goes outside too. So outside, different flowers, different seasons, different things going on. The chickens even decorate the chicken coop. I was going to show you the chickens, a live stream of the chickens right now, but I can't do it right now because I cannot show you anything from the internet today because I'm on a different computer and don't I can't access it right now. So that's sad.
It may be a good idea because we've had some fun issues so far. You frozen a few times in the last couple of minutes.
Oh my god, what?
Yeah, I know. Your turn, jerk. No.
Oh my god, I'm looking at it, yeah. Um who knows what that's about? I didn't turn off my cameras today, so maybe that's why. I need to turn off my we have a lot of chick cams and our chicken cams, and so I need to turn them off because that takes up a lot of upload speed. That's an annoyance. So download speed can be like 130. Great, awesome. A lot of people don't have that, but then their upload speed has is like barely anything. It's like 8.5. Like, give me the same upload speed. Come on, stupid cable companies. Hmm. Yep. Are you gonna put it on the toast? That'd be fun.
I have this tomato mozzarella panini sitting next to me. And because I'm not going to eat on a live stream because that's a little weird. But yeah,
Well, you do know that people pay to watch people eat.
I don't think you guys want to. I mean, I'm a fairly like okay eater. I'm just really paranoid about it. A little self conscious. For all the things I post on the internet, apparently that's the
Eating on
line.
cam.
Eating on camera, some was it ASMR? Is that it?
Yeah. I'm
Like
gonna start doing some ASMR, I think. We'll see.
I hope I'm
Yeah.
fortunate enough one day, and I don't want to piss you off, but someday I hope that the camera picks up you like going off and losing your shit, because you still maintain your, like, you have such a professional tone in your general, like, how you present yourself. So professionally telling me to go F myself, while you're losing your shit.
I feel like that's going to be hard because I was trained so well for TV. Some people do lose their cool on TV. Um, but so
For
I
me,
saw
it's like
this,
a switch flips. I
you
don't,
know,
is it like that for you? Like the camera turns on, you're like, I'm good.
oh yeah, for sure. Um, like so I was seeing some things trending on Twitter today, I think, and someone was pulling up these interviews of Diane Sawyer interviewing Whitney Houston.
And
Okay,
Brittany.
I guess it's probably brought up because of Britney. So, so I don't want to comment because I've not seen the Britney one. I mean, I had at the time. So people were complaining about the Whitney interview. So I don't know. I just want to say it's like hardcore interviewing. Um, I can see where you could feel like it border on because she did kind of like showed a picture of Whitney and saying you're really skinny, and Whitney said something and it was like, no, that's not that. You're like basically unhealthy, skinny. And then she started asking bulimia, anorexia. But the point was leading, I believe, was trying to get her to say she did drugs. I mean, we can clearly look back now and say drugs. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not a
But
surprise. So I was the odd one out. I thought that was a completely fair interview. I could see where people could say, "Oh, it was bordering a little bit much on a strong side," but I feel like we've gone through a period of time where we didn't have reporters asking tough questions. And I
right. Well,
understand they're a
there's
celebrity, and I understand that. But everybody agreed to the interview, and I obviously don't like be mean to someone, but sometimes in certain instances, I think that someone brought up a Michael Jackson interview as well that she did. They were hard hitting interviews. Not everyone's going to like them, but it also is weird because at the time people thought she did an amazing job. People look back on it now and are like, no. But those same people who are saying like, oh no, she was so mean, are the ones that were making fun of Whitney Houston at the time because of the interview. Because that's the whole interview is where she was like, "Crack is whack, crack is cheap. I don't buy cheap." Not a great impression, but yeah. So
I
people were making fun of her at the time, but now those same
Ooh.
people are probably the people who are like, "Oh, that interview was too tough."
I think
But
it's a
I think
lot of
it's
people realizing now that how many problems were really underlying, for Brittany, Whitney, and other people that have been on the receiving end, even though they agreed to it, that the same. I'm all about a hard hitting interview because you're right, like not having hard questions and not really having your feet put to the fire, you don't really learn anything. But why do we need to know some of this stuff about a celebrity? For example, like the personal things, like you know,
I mean, so like the
I
drug thing
personally
was
don't do hard
obvious.
drugs, but I don't care if a celebrity does because that's their
Yeah, but
job.
I
That's
think
their
at the time,
thing.
yeah, I think at the time though, it was that was the story that she was doing drugs, and that was the whole reason she
Yeah.
came on to do the interview.
Gosh,
So
I
you
forgot.
can't really skip out on that because if you skipped out on that, people are gonna be like, well, she didn't do a good interview. Why didn't she ask about this? Like
Right.
that was
Well,
kind of the thing. Like Michael Jackson, what are you gonna ask him about? Like clearly the conversation is going to be about these trials that were happening at the time of child molestation, and then you have people coming forward and saying that this had happened, and he's denying it, and I believe he was acquitted ultimately,
yeah.
but there's still a lot of there's a lot with him, but so like those are the questions you're going to get asked. Like if you didn't ask those questions, you would be a bad reporter. Like I think again, like it's a balancing line of being really tough and being fair. Like you know, she was really leading into trying to get her to say that she was doing drugs. Um,
Right. But why? Like, like, but
you know,
it's really easy to forget that we're looking at this how many years later, and we
yeah.
don't have Whitney's not here to say, hey, I agreed to that part of the interview, but that part I did not. We don't know. There isn't
I mean,
where.
I think the thing is, like, when you sit down to an interview, to a point, you're open up to everything. Like, you could be asked
Right.
anything and you can agree, or you can just not answer the question or what. And
Right.
I mean, that's how interviews are.
It's really
And
weird. And I've always had like a weird thought about that because, so, I've sat in a judge's chamber and answered questions about my parents, when I was 11 or 12. And I was there with the judge, me, and the court reporter who, took all the notes. And, you know, they ask you these questions and you're expected to answer them honestly because it's going to change your entire life. So I learned really young that what you say, how you say it, and making sure to try and clarify, make sure that your point gets made the first time you say it. You want the person listening to get your message because it can go completely wrong. And once you clarify it, it doesn't matter because it's already been heard. You said it, you did say it. And, but I don't know. I look at other people and I know some people are celebrity. Some people happen to be celebrities. Some people it's just who've been through similar experiences as I have. And I think how unfair to have so much of your life, career, or things happen to you based off 10 minutes of how you said something, because sometimes you're able to say things a certain way because in your own head, you've processed it 1,000 times. You've been over it 1,000 times. So you might come off, you know, whimsical or, blase or whatever about it because in your head, it's happened and you've replayed it so many times. So when that moment gets there or you're surprised with it, you're like, oh, for God's sakes, and it's like, oh, wow, such and such doesn't think this is a big deal. And right at that moment, I can tell you that, for example, when I was sitting with that court reporter, I did not sleep the night before because I knew we were going to court the next day. And I very rarely slept well the night before court dates.
yeah.
And because I knew I could literally walk out of that court going to my parents from having lived with my grandparents for several years. I never knew. So the whole time I was with my grandparents up until I was almost or just after I turned 15, I could have been pulled away from them. And so I didn't sleep well. And I remember sitting, I was not scared to talk to anybody. I was scared of what the final decision, because you don't know what a judge is going to say. So in my case,
Mhm.
I watched judge and jury and judge, jury, and executioner all in one room. And you're sitting there going, oh my God, what's going to happen with this? So whenever I see these interviews, like this, and the receiving end of it, I know people do interviews all the time, and I know some of the questions are really hard. And, sometimes it's like, hey, is that really necessary to ask? But you did say yes to the interview,
I mean,
and I
that's the
think about
thing.
that.
Yeah, I mean, so you could take different things. So you can take Diane Sawyer. She did news interviews. She was a news journalist, and she
Right.
was doing these. And so these are more celebrity oriented interviews. And so you could that it's a different feel. And so obviously asking hard hitting questions to a celebrity maybe can
Well,
come
let
off.
me see when that interview actually was, because, we also have to give context to the time of the interview. And with social media, 2010 and 2000, yeah, they were a time ago at this point, but because of social media, we're able to bring them back so much quicker. We don't need a news
Yeah.
station to do like, hey guys, remember this moment in time from 7 years ago? No, I can YouTube it myself and I can
Yeah.
watch the whole clip. I can watch the whole video.
Yeah. I mean, I what again, when I watched the interview, I thought it was a tough interview. Um, I can see where people were coming from. I can also see like what you were saying, like what is she going to get out of this? Whitney admitting that she did drugs. I mean, I guess that would be your get.
It was from,
Um,
I think it's December 4th, 2002. So 19 years ago, or well, 18 years ago. It'll be 19 years in December of this year.
yeah,
So in 2002, there was no MySpace even. MySpace wasn't around for a couple more years after that. So you literally, when we got information about celebrities or sensitive topics, you might only get, might be the best interview somebody gets from this celebrity
I
all
mean,
year.
yeah, if it was happening this day and age, you would have pictures of them doing the drugs or getting the drugs or something.
Oh my gosh.
So
I
so
think we all
yeah,
remember like the Lindsay Lohan
a different
debacle,
time period. Yeah.
because that was
Yeah,
right when smartphones and everything were becoming more mainstream, and that's when everybody saw, I think, everything, because we had a joke at the Apple store of like a list of apps we wanted, and one of them was the Paris Hilton Lindsay Lohan news blocker, because they were turned into tabloid fodder, and it was literally like the two of them and Brittany could not move without the breaking news coming across our phones, like, and that was kind
yeah.
of the opening of what having a smartphone was going to
And I
be
mean,
like.
that's also a different period. It still happens these days, but have
Right.
some celebrities, obviously lower tier celebrity, but that they will literally call paparazzi and say, I'm going to be here. So, you
Right.
can't, I mean, it's a tough situation because, they're not really their privacy is not necessarily being invaded if they're the ones saying, hey, I'm
Yeah,
going
oh
to be
yeah,
here
if you're
at
setting it
whatever.
off, then that's on
And
you.
it's
But
it's a tough thing. But yeah, when I watched that, I was like, it's a tough interview. I see where people are coming from, but like, I'm not going to hate on Diane Sawyer for that because again, I think we need hard hitting news. And yeah, that was an entertainment story, but you need it in everything and especially in politics. And we literally have not had it. And I don't know if that's a fact of people being afraid to be called out that they're being too mean to people. I think
it's a
that
lot of
could
times that
be. And
women take the abuse in interviews that guys do not take. What was it? If I get this wrong, I'm so sorry. Was it um the interview with Gayle King, I believe? Was it Kanye? I don't think it was Kanye. No, she interviewed a guy who literally
I,
got up and
yeah, I know
was
what
it
you're talking
Kanye?
about. Yeah. I don't remember, but I
Oh
remember
God, I
that.
can't remember who it was.
Yeah, I remember. And he got
Because
up
right
and
around the
she was
time
like, calm
Kanye had done
down.
something crazy, and it
Yeah.
also made the news. I remember it was in the same news cycle. But there was another event that happened in the early 2000s that comes up annually, and that I think we should really talk about. Especially, this is regarding the different treatment of men and women in the media. Um, uh, we remember a Super Bowl incident from, I think it was 2004,
Hmm.
with Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake, and I saw how Justin Timberlake released a statement. He goes, I hear all the noise, but I'm not going to respond to it. And I'm like, you literally exposed a woman on stage without her consent. It would be one thing if they both took a risky, performance move and did it to fit the song. And it was like, okay, y'all, really hilarious, but great job. But, it's going to make a mark, but everybody had a laugh about it. But it was not consensual and it was really inappropriate. So it was like, but seems to feel no.
So do you think it's because in the interview situation, it's because they're women that people are,
From what I have seen,
or I guess the women interviewing people, and so since the women are the
well,
one
it seems
interviewing
to
people,
be
it seems to be an issue.
whoever's on the receiving end of it. Whoever's on the receiving end of it, if they're women, seem to take much more abuse. Now, whoever the interviewer is, when it's a woman, she seems to get more criticized for how her actions are. If a man did it, I doubt we would hear anything about it. He was like, well,
Yeah,
look, he was just asking these hard questions because it was 2002, and he was a respected journalist, and you know because nobody's questioned Diane Sawyer's like credentials. I mean, that was never brought up. It was just about how she talked to Whitney, but we're also looking at it through the lens of we've since lost Whitney,
yeah.
to addiction. And I think people are looking at a more sympathetic lens of like, wow, did this interview, some, moments like this contribute to continued use and abuse where she could have gotten help rather than uh, kind of put under a magnifying glass. So people are looking at it differently. But again, we don't have Whitney here to talk about it because, when you talk to different people who have recovered from addiction or are still struggling with or in the active throes of it, some people respond better when it gets brought out to the light and they can finally get help, and other people, when it gets brought out in that way, it destroys them and they cannot recover in the same way because they're humiliated, they're embarrassed, they don't want to ask for help, and they basically hide and suffer, but then they end up suffering in silence. So
Yeah.
you can't blanket statement and say which approach works for each person, but celebrities get put in the spotlight, and it's easy to forget that they're still a person,
Yeah.
and addiction's a beast, and addiction doesn't care if you're a celebrity or if you're homeless. And
I guess, you I mean, I guess the important thing is also, like they are, we talked about this like with JoJo Siwa, that she's just a person, don't invade her privacy. But in many of these instances, these people agree to interviews,
right,
and it's a long
yeah,
process of
right.
working
For JoJo
between
Siwa, it's very
camps.
different because it wasn't like she was on a live stream, came out, and then people asked her questions and she got offended. She was literally at home and they swatted her. Like, that is, and she's a minor. So even if she says something's okay, you still have to remember there are laws in place to protect minors. And even if she says, yeah, you know what, guys, ask me some questions. If some adult jumps on her live feed and starts asking her inappropriate questions that you should never ask somebody anyway, let alone to a teenager, there's going to be a whole new list of issues. But like you said, this was not a Instagram live interview. This was an agreed upon, sat down with these
Yeah.
people talked to these people, and they collaborated. But I
I
think
mean, I
people are
think,
looking at it differently because Whitney is gone, and we have come to learn in the last decade or so how much Britney has suffered in silence, yet it's hard to imagine somebody who's one of the biggest names in literally the entire world, suffering in such a way that how could somebody like that with so many resources be controlled? Well, we're starting to see that, you know, her taking all the blame and for things. And I think people are looking at it in that way as well. They're looking at it through a more sympathetic lens that, yes, she was agreed to it, but we've also learned that she has been pressured into doing things she didn't want to do. So did she agree to it, or did her people agree to it and she got hammered for it?
yeah, I mean, I just
You
think it's
know?
a weird thing though to put some sympathy sometimes, because like you even have the Michael Jackson interview, and I guess then there's sympathy for Michael Jackson. And
Right.
I think you have to separate the sympathy for someone versus someone doing a hard interview.
Right. I
Like
would
I
need
think if
to
you
I
had
feel like
JoJo,
I would need to sit and watch it from beginning to end
yeah,
to really. I mean, I actually remember the interviews. I remember the Britney one and I remember the Whitney one. They made the news, and I remember thinking, well, even I was a mid or older teenager. I was old enough to understand that breakups and addiction are real and they exist, and it generally takes more than one person, especially when you learn a lot of like celebrity addictions. It's because people don't tell them no. I think I was reading this interesting article about from an interview from Selena Gomez, I believe, and she was talking about um, she's like, when you're young and you have your handlers, your managers, your publicists, your assistants, and friends. She's like, you have toxic friends and you don't even realize they're toxic because they're not telling you no. They're not shoving it down your face, but they're not telling you no. And part of a good supportive network is, when you and I struggle with our own anxieties and everything, is sometimes we're pretty real with each other. I literally have told you, like, Cody, are you okay? Like, and that when I'm asking you that, I'm not being like nice.
yeah,
We're having a very real conversation. But that's part of being a healthy support network, is being there, being real on the good and the bad days, and knowing where to be. The way I am and I joke around, I'm not like that with you when you're having a bad day, and you're not like that with me when I'm having a bad day. you know but she was explaining that, as her illnesses were kind of overwhelming and bubbling up, of course, you're going to do anything you can to numb the pain and discomfort and your other health issues, to get through the next show, to get through the next interview, to get through the next, public
hmm,
events. And so she was explaining it to it from that perspective. And, it made a lot of sense to me as to how somebody who could easily go down that path. And addiction is different for everybody. Some people try something once and they're hooked forever, and other people are not. So, and then so when these interviews come up, I always find it interesting the different perspectives on it.
hmm,
But yeah, like you said, you do have to separate sympathy. Like, yes, this was a very hard topic to discuss, and you're watching an adult crack on camera in front of millions of people
Yeah. I mean,
forever. This moment isn't
yeah.
going away.
I think you can also take like say JoJo Siwa was going to be interviewed. I don't think it would be like such a tough interview, but they're going to ask her about, you know, if she's dating someone and all of that. And
Yeah, these are
I
common
don't think that
questions.
that is not, I think that's a fair question. If you were to
Right.
sit down with her, I think it is fair for you because she's now put out even more. She's talked about that she has a girlfriend. So I
Yeah,
think
I'm
it
so happy for her. I'm so happy. But on that note, I'm
yeah.
so happy to see her living out loud. But
Yeah.
at the same time, when you ask somebody if you're dating somebody, you have to be mindful that you're talking to now two people, and one of them might not be there to discuss it. So if the person says, "Yes, I am," but we can't really discuss it because you could invade the other person's privacy, together.
Yeah.
Like, I I think David is so fun, and I would love to share him to the world because I want people to see what I see every day.
Mhm.
But we have different personalities and different thoughts and way we process and handle. So I was really like hesitant to ask him because one, I didn't want him to do it just because I wanted him to, which he kind of did anyway because he's awesome. But he sat for it, but we did it off camera because it's the first time he's done anything like that with
Yeah.
us, and we didn't know if it was going to get personal, and he was willing to answer questions. And it's different to answer questions on a YouTube comment or a Twitter comment than when you're having a conversation because it becomes very obvious if somebody's uncomfortable. And we didn't want to make him uncomfortable, but that was my choice to ask him. And then it was his choice to say, yes, this is what I'm willing to talk about, or this is
Mhm.
what I feel comfortable with because it now is out there and can't be unsaid.
Yeah.
So, you got to
Um,
think about that.
mhm. No, I think we'll have to talk about it actually as an episode, I think, because I think, you know, I obviously have a news background, and so like,
I always love
uh,
it. So this is something you get really passionate about. If anybody watching that, you know, you interviewed me, uh, I think early on, we were just kind of one of the episodes we were kind
mhm,
of playing around with. And I mentally prepared myself that you really might come for my throat because if your instincts take over and you don't like my answer, but I was ready for it. I was hoping that would happen because I think people need to see that as much as we get along and as well as we get along, that it's like when work Matt kicks in, like it's a totally different level. I'm still lighthearted, but I do mean business. And I want people to see that side of you too. And, that other part of our relationship that makes us do this
yeah,
and push forward every week. Because we're not a huge podcast. We're not, we don't have a staff working for us. We literally come up with everything on our
mhm,
own. And between you finding apps for us to use, Justin's knowledge, David letting me bounce millions of ideas off of you before I even bring it to you. Um, and that's it. So it's like I would love for people to be able to see that side of you come out because you get so into it and it's amazing. And I know you're
um,
just dying to like shred me, so it's okay. I'm ready.
yeah, I think we'll have to talk about it more because I think, you know, I understand everything about the sympathy for other people, and there's a fine line of invasion in some of these instances, but it also is, you know, you as a journalist trying to get information. I know, like with celebrity, it becomes a harder topic because how much do you invade somebody's privacy
Right.
because they just are a normal person, but then obviously they're in the spotlight, and then obvi- there's the other thing. The main reason they're even getting an interview is because there is a scandal-ish issue surrounding them, and so the interview is going to be about that issue. So the issue with Michael Jackson is going to come up. That's the only reason he even got the interview. Whitney Houston, Britney Spears, etc. There was issues surrounding those interviews that brought them because there wouldn't just be a random interview
Yeah,
that
they're not going to
happened.
do an interview if everything's going well. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
that
the
would be like a
reality.
CBS Sunday Morning kind
When
of thing, like a
when I got divorced,
something.
back in 20, it finalized on January 2nd, I believe, of 14. And I would say that the general interest, because my ex-husband was very upset about uh everything, and he had a secret Facebook account posting about it.
Mm.
And where we lived in a very, very small town, and it seemed like I was getting hateful messages from people I didn't even know. And I literally couldn't go anywhere without getting dirty looks, rude comments. I'm like, what the hell is going on around here? You know, I didn't really think of it. I just thought, like,
Mhm.
did I not respond to a message on Grindr or something? Because I did have Grindr at the time. And the public public interest in a gay divorce 7 years ago, wow, you know, and people had no problem saying nasty things to me. I'm like, okay, I'm nobody. I'm literally a get up and go to work every day. But people were so fascinated by seeing a divorce play out on Facebook from gays that it was the first time it had happened. And for the record, he and I are on good terms now. We are fine. Like I actually just heard from him the other day. We are whatever, but going through an emotional moment can bring out trauma and can really bring out the worst and hardest parts to deal with of a person, and you lash out. And normally if you've been through a divorce, it's a whole new level of hell. But it that person, no matter what's going on in your life, the other person becomes the target because they are the source, good no matter how amicable it is. And ours was pretty amicable compared to the drama we see. We didn't have kids to separate. We had a house and cars and stuff, but
Yeah.
you know, it wasn't a big deal. My Facebook literally looked a mess. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, we could do an episode on it sometime. I mean, there is everything from therapy, suicide attempts, alcoholism, everything. Everything was in that divorce, and it was a
Wow.
tame one. I mean, I'm very open about it, and we both talk about it.
Mhm.
I don't know if I would bring him on, but he's incredibly charismatic, and it would probably be really interesting. It would probably make for a
I
really
mean,
fascinating
it
episode.
sounds like it.
But you know, I realized that even just talking about it on Twitter, you know, when we make comments to each other, I get DMs from people saying, you know, oh wow, I had no idea you were divorced, you know, that I had a life before David. And you know, or that David and my ex-husband and I all worked in the same company for a long time.
Mhm.
You know, it just things like that weren't what people think was the dramatic parts. That was nothing. We just went to work and went home. Like work was always separate. But that became such a public interest. People didn't have a problem asking me things, and they'll just DM it. When I had my first Twitter account, I actually deleted my first Twitter because I got overwhelmed. And then I was going through the divorce, and it was happening, and I knew my social media was being watched. I knew I was
Mhm.
getting the messages. It was really upsetting. So I told everybody I was just overwhelmed and I needed just to disconnect, which was true. But I did have a couple people that were part of kind of like a social uh, network of like a healthy social network that just I liked talking to. But I pretty much disconnected from everybody for 2 years before I
Mhm.
came back kind of like mentally put together. And that was a very small scale experience. I can't imagine going through it on a large scale and not having professional therapists and a lot of medications,
Yeah.
you know? But I mean, we should do an interview about it. Why don't we have you interview me about I'll give you some of the details because you don't even really know about it. I've not even really
No.
talked to you about it. What if we do one where I'll give you some of the details and let you just like you can just do a live stream and set my feet to the fire. And because it is a really important topic, people
Mhm.
don't understand how divorce works. I learned that. People don't know how it works. They don't understand local, state, and federal law with it or what can impact you. They don't know what it's like to stand there in front of the judge or how it feels. And I think it could be a really healthy way to talk about it. And, you know, we could just because a lot of people are going through it quietly and you find out later, you know, when they post it on Twitter, like, hey, I just want to let everybody know, sorry if I
Mhm.
was rude. We separated and this has been going on. And it's really hard. Like, you have to do a 1 year separation before you're allowed to get divorced. So we lived in the same house, separated for a year. Normally, they say you have to be under separate roofs,
Yeah.
but we really couldn't afford to do that. So he slept in the guest room because he was moving out of the house, and I stayed in the master. And we tried as best we could to just keep peace because we have similar
Yeah.
friends. And the judge even told us that we were mature for handling it. We were trying to be adults about it. By the time we actually divorced, we were fine. But, you know, comically, we were actually late to our own wedding because we got so we had to go to DC because it was only legal in DC and like 2 other places at the time. We went, you sign the papers, and you have to wait. You have a 3-day waiting period. So we went back 3 days later, and a snowstorm hit DC at 3:30 in the afternoon. Literally, as we were walking to the car, we should have been home by 5 o'clock. We got home at 6 o'clock the next morning. It was terrifying. We were stuck in the mountains. I had to get out of the car once and push snow off the hood because it had piled up so much on the hood we couldn't see anymore. On the highway, I had to do this on the highway. It was terrifying. And then we were late to our divorce because we got caught in traffic on January 2nd of 2014. And we're sitting there, and I was like, we were literally late to our wedding divorce.
Well,
So
I
every year
mean,
we send each other a happy divorce day, and we're good because we
yeah.
learned to face it. But can you imagine going through that at 20? People that get married really young at 18 to
Mhm.
20 and then divorce their spouse, they're, like celebrity level.
Yeah.
These are multi-million-dollar divorces, and
Yeah.
every detail
Someone's
plays
getting money.
out. And well, every detail plays out in front of everybody.
Mhm.
And if people were comfortable sending me messages at the scale we were on Grindr, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat, and sometimes to my phone, um, stuff happened at my house. I don't know. People like messed with my house. There were just things that happened over the years that were really scary. So I can't imagine what it would be like on that level because you're incredibly vulnerable. Um,
Yeah.
when that happens, you shouldn't be because you're going through so much that everything else seems minuscule, but it's almost like the straw that breaks the camel's back.
That is a lot. We'll definitely have to
So would it be really fun? I mean, I'm so far over it. We're good, but
do do a sit down interview with
yeah,
Matt.
Cody's gonna be like, I'm gonna make him cry.
My goal. Um, well, we want to thank everybody for joining us. We started light and ended in a deep conversation that basically was a episode of a podcast, but we actually will do an episode about um, maybe hard hitting journalism, and then also a episode on Matt and his
We could probably do
divorce.
one of the live streams, where you kind of give everybody a kind of like an intro to what does hard hitting look like versus just being a jerk. I think that's really
Hmm.
important to define because sometimes you see an interview and you're like, the person said no. I understand that you want the answer, but they've said no
Yeah, I
and
mean,
they're
and
hammering them.
I have to say it also depends on who you're interviewing, because depending on who you're interviewing, you keep at it
Right.
no matter
Well, yeah,
what.
and exactly. And I
So
think that's really important.
it's depending on the person and depending on the topic.
I
So,
think it would be really cool to,
it's a
I think
very
that's a really good thing to address actually this week, Cody, because the impeachment trial is happening, and a lot of people, we've seen such a shift around in what's considered journalism, what we see publicly, like the press secretaries over the last 5 years, including who we have now. And also, like you said, who you interview matters. It's kind of like how when you ask one of your friends questions, if one of your friends says, oh, I'm fine, they're fine, like that's it. And then another friend, that's like code for, should I ask
Mhm.
again? you know
Exactly.
like I think that'd be super cool to hear. I would love to hear you talk about it. So what if we do like we open with some light and then like just give everybody kind of a 20-30 minute like, hey, this is what journalism can and does look like. And then, for example, we're going to
Yeah.
talk to Matt about this. And then
Yeah.
we can either break it up into two, but record it all at once. Because we
Yeah.
can always record it and then we have 2 episodes if we need it.
Yeah, I think so. Um,
So
we
Thursday, hear
if
me
you
get raked
are
over the coals.
if you are listening and watching the replay, and you're not following us, follow us on Twitter at Cody Rodriguez, at I am poetic AF. Um, also, I'm on everything at Cody Rodriguez, YouTube, and I think YouTube. I don't know, Instagram. But TikTok is John Cody Rodriguez because I like doing TikTok a lot. I'm sending
Should
Matt
I get a
TikToks all the
TikTok?
time. I think you
I
need to get a TikTok.
do.
You
I'm
do.
kind of afraid. I mean, I could record some of the conversations and stuff and turn them into like mini skits, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm weird about
I think people love mini skits.
it. So I guess you'll
Yeah.
have to help me. What a
Okay, I'll help
surprise!
you. And
You'll
then
help
follow
me.
us on the Twitter at the ComaCast. Yeah, I'll help you.
Oh,
Okay.
Cody's so
You
good to me.
you need to get a TikTok. After this, get a TikTok.
Fine, I'll
Um
get a TikTok. I just have Snapchat.
yes.
If you want my
Well,
Snapchat, please DM me for it. Just DM me at I'm Poetic AF, and I will give it to you more than likely. But I'm really conversational. If you interact with us at the Comicast on Twitter, Cody and I both do see everything. I typically am the one that posts, but Cody, I did see that you posted earlier today, and I was very excited.
I did.
And also catch the interview with David. It is posted now. You can check it out at Anchor, or you can check it out, right through Twitter or wherever you get your podcast.
Yeah, and again, if you're like on Apple or whatever, leave a comment that you love our podcast, hopefully,
Oh,
and rate
Cody,
us.
we have Keith.
We have a lot of hi.
Hi, Keith.
Yeah, there's a lot to listen to on our podcast if you've not done it because we have so many episodes. And yeah, if you do like them, be sure and rate us, give us 5 stars, and leave a comment because that just helps other people find us, and they'll look at our episodes and be like, "Oh, this is rated 5 stars. People like it. Let's try it out." And so far, y'all do love it, and we thank you so much. Yeah, I don't got anything else for today. I guess it's been a fun conversation. We
Yeah.
started off going to be a light, hey, what's up? We released David's interview. It was so crazy. Everyone loved it, and we went in depth. This is
Well,
our
I'm glad we did
conversations.
though.
This
So
is
I'm
really what
really.
happens when we have
This is.
conversations.
This is again what it's like being my friend. If a topic comes up, I do not shy away from it unless the other person is uncomfortable or doesn't want to talk about it. But I think it's super important to be able to have those conversations with your friends. I mean, if you're my friend, I don't want to just, if I ask you how your freaking day is, I want you to tell me about your day. And if you're
Hmm.
upset about it, I want to hear about it. Otherwise, what's the point of me asking? Um, I did want to, that's so funny. I do think this is a good idea to do for Thursday because I think it's a good opportunity to have something that we're going to talk about, and then it'll give us something to post about. We can kind of let everybody know, hey, this is what's coming and this
Yeah.
is what we're going to do, and see everybody's thoughts. Also, because if some people don't want to hear about it, maybe it's a little upsetting, then, they can just make their own decisions for themselves, because I don't want to upset anybody or make anybody relive an experience that they don't want to go back through, because it's hard. It's really hard to live with, and you don't feel good, but more on that Thursday.
So we thank all of you for joining us, and we will see you Thursday. Bye, everybody.